Hi, welcome to our channel of IGNOU Audiobooks, Indira Gandhi National Open University, School of Continuing Education, SOCA. Master of Science in Counseling and Family Therapy, MSc CFT. First year, MCFT 002 Mental Health and Disorders. Block 1 Introduction to Health and Disorders. Unit 5 Mental Health Perspective in Chronic Physical Illnesses, 5.1 Introduction. Each individual reacts to physical illness in her or his unique way. Some overcome it with courage and others have difficulty in overcoming intense emotions like anger, fear, or hopelessness. Various factors affect the response of an individual to an illness and its effect on the illness. For example, denial as a response to an illness may result in delay in seeking treatment. Medical and paramedical personnel working with the patients having chronic physical illnesses should understand their patients' reactions towards their illnesses. It will help to plan the treatment, modulate the patient's behavioral or emotional responses, decrease their distress and improve their medical outcomes. In this unit we try to view illness as stress and the individual's psychological, emotional and behavioral response to the illness. Objectives. After studying this unit, you will be able to learn about the chronic physical illnesses, discuss the ways in which chronic illnesses affect the persons mentally and physically, understand the needs, challenges and limitations that these persons experience, learn about psychological factors affecting the response to physical illness, and learn in what ways caregivers may be affected. 5.2 Definition and Understanding. Chronic illness. The term chronic comes from the Greek word chromis. It means lasting for a long time. Examples of common chronic illnesses include asthma, epilepsy, cancer, diabetes, heart disease and chronic fatigue syndrome. United States National Center for Health Statistics, NCHS, defines a chronic illness as one lasting 3 months or more. The Commission on Chronic Illness, 1956, defines chronic illness as all impairments or deviations from normal which have one or more of the following characteristics, are permanent, leave residual disability, are caused by non-reversible pathological alteration, require special training of the patient for rehabilitation, and or may be expected to require a long period of supervision, observation or care. Chronic illnesses can begin at any time in life from childhood to old age and can create long-term health concerns that require adjustments in normal living. Chronic illnesses may differ in treatment, severity and prognosis. They may lead to disability, visible, invisible or static, progressive, thereby impairing the quality of life in the life of the patients, their families and others who care for them. For example, the whole family is affected when the primary wage earner is the patient. Modifications need to be made. Chronic illnesses may lead to financial, relationship and emotional challenges in addition to physical limitations. Individuals with chronic illnesses may experience loneliness, isolation, embarrassment, fear and concerns about dependency, separation from family or friends in the hospital or at home when one is ill. Produces isolation, disconnection and stress. Dependency on others for the most basic tasks can be very stressful for many individuals. Chronic illnesses require the individuals to change their self-view more permanently. The challenges of chronic illness are ongoing and become part of the daily lives for the individuals. 5.3 Psychological response to illness. Mental disorders are often seen in association with physical illnesses. 1. Explanation for this association is a psychological reaction to the distress imposed by a chronic medical condition, life-threatening condition or by the overall severity of the illness. Another explanation is that mentally ill patients may perceive themselves more troubled by medical conditions and therefore tend to seek medical help as compared to mentally healthy patients. Studies about illness perception have shown that people who are depressed consider their general and physical health worse than people who are not depressed. It has been observed in medical settings that patients with depression and anxiety rate their physical functioning worse than mentally healthy patients. 5.3.1 Subjective variables influencing an individual's response to a given illness. The subject of psychological factors affecting medical disorders has become the focus of intense research because intervention at psychological level has demonstrated improvements in medical outcomes and quality of life in individuals with serious medical disorders. Psychological factors may contribute to the initiation, for example, psychological stress inducing myocardial ischemia, or the exacerbation of the illness, for example, by non-compliance to treatment. Physicians are adept at identifying immediate physical problem, for example, disability caused due to cancer, but mental health professionals understand patients' subjective experiences of illness. They are often asked to evaluate problematic behavioral or emotional reactions to their illnesses. Response of an individual to the illness depends on personality types, coping styles, and defense mechanisms. Interventions for the patients and their caregivers can be designed based on their emotional and behavioral responses to the chronic illness. 1. Personality types. Most of the individuals exhibit traits of various personality types. The personality of an individual highlights the adaptive response of an individual. During the period of stress, for example, mildly obsessional patient might appear overly rigid, a dependent individual may appear excessively needy. Extreme expression of personality traits may aggravate the situation by developing counter-transference in doctors and hospital staff and negative expressed emotions in family members. Different personality types have different effects on response to physical illnesses and are as follows. I. Dependent. The dependent patients continuously seek help, are demanding and are unable to solve problems or decide among the various treatment options available. These individuals have more compliant to the treatment and let the physician decide the best course for them. The care of such patients by the family is difficult due to greater desire for the care and their insatiable needs, which may evoke aversion in their caregivers. They have limited frustration tolerance, and the feeling of abandonment leads to clinging behavior. Patients with dependent personality type are helped by appropriate reassurance that they will be taken care of. Limit setting is done by specifying fixed schedule of visits, for example, thrice a week visit, and by setting clear expectations regarding the doctor's time and availability. Obsessional. Individuals with obsessional personality are meticulous, place a strong emphasis on rationality, and like to feel in control over self. These patients focus on details and want to learn all about their medications, diagnoses, tests, etc. to such an extent so as to miss the broader picture. They are easily frustrated by the unpredictability of the hospital environment, for example, delay or cancellation in any procedure. Illness is considered loss of control over self and emotions, which may lead to rigid and inflexible behavior to accept the treatment. It is helpful to give them details regarding the illness and its treatment. They should be involved in decision-making process. This will generate feeling of control over self and will decrease anxiety and interpersonal friction. Histrionic. Patients with a histrionic personality can be entertaining and seductive at times. This can be uncomfortable or embarrassing for physicians. They need attention and admiration to avoid anxiety. The patient fear loss of attractiveness, experience illness as a threat to her or his femininity or masculinity. Denial is common defense mechanism used to avoid anxiety. It is helpful to encourage these patients to discuss their fears, and physicians should balance the warmth and formality. Paranoid. These patients are guarded, quick to blame, and readily feel attacked. They can be easily provoked as they blame external world for their present condition. They are prone to feeling hurt, invaded, or exploited by medical procedures. Stress increases paranoid traits such as suspiciousness, and they become more guarded and may refuse procedures or tests. They may accuse the physician and may lead to defensive counter-transference, which may be counterproductive. They do not forgive easily and may maintain lists of grievances. A good approach to handle such patients is to listen to them patiently without dispute or agreement and explaining in detail the justification for their treatments. They should not be confronted for irrational fears, and excessive warmth should be avoided. Narcissistic. They are arrogant, devaluing, demanding, and can easily be identified by their reaction. They may question the knowledge and competence of their treating physician. The patient may wish to be seen by only senior doctors and devalue those believed to be inferior to them. They experience illness as a threat to their self-concept of perfection, and invulnerability and defense of grandiosity will be heightened. Common comment about these patients by the staff and caregivers is, "Who does he think he is?" Some physicians tempted are to cater to the unreasonable demands of these patients owing to their power and grandiosity. The techniques helpful in handling these patients are providing opportunities to brag or show off, which help in rapport building, and not to take patients' devaluation personally but understand their behavior as efforts to maintain self-esteem. Use of phrases such as "you deserve the best" or "you deserve no less" is helpful. If the patient feels recognized as someone unique and special, she or he will feel reassured and will make fewer demands. Schizoid. Patients of schizoid personality remain aloof, uninterested in social contact, and therefore delay any kind of treatment until necessary. The physician often finds it difficult to build rapport or engage the patient in treatment. Illness and hospitalization evoke fear and intense anxiety as the patient avoids Any social contact. The physician should not force any treatment or social contact. Showing interest, building trust and encouragement can reassure the patient that she or he is safe and will not be intruded on. 2. Coping styles. Problems in coping with the chronic illness are common reasons for psychiatric consultation. Patients may respond differently to the diagnosis of chronic illness depending on their coping abilities. Coping can be problem-focused coping, that is, thoughts and behaviors are used to alter the problem that is causing distress, or emotion-focused coping means to regulate the emotional response to the problem. Patients will tend to choose problem-focused coping strategies when they appraise the situation as being under their control, and emotion-focused coping styles when out of control. Mental health professionals can encourage the patients to choose more adaptive coping styles. Patients use trial and error and multiple coping ways during a given stressful situation. 8 types of coping styles have been suggested. These are: I. Confronting, hostile or aggressive efforts to alter a situation. E. Distancing, attempts to detach oneself mentally from a situation. E. Self-controlling, attempts to regulate one's feelings or actions. IV. Seeking social support, efforts to seek emotional support or information. V. Accepting responsibility, acknowledgement of a personal role in the problem. V. Escape avoidance, cognitive or behavioral efforts to escape or avoid the problem. V. Planned problem solving, careful thought and efforts to alter the situation. And V. Conducting positive reappraisal, efforts to reframe the situation in a positive light. It has been proposed that choice of coping strategy is partially dependent on the patient's concept of illness as challenge, enemy, punishment, weakness, relief, irreparable loss or damage. Illness as challenge is related to adaptive coping and mental well-being, whereas illness as enemy and punishment are associated with maladaptive coping. Coping style can be viewed as a trait or as a process and is often colored by the personality. Patients tend to use the same coping styles as used by them in the past, whether effective or not. Coping styles may change as the nature of stressor changes. For example, when the diagnosis of breast cancer is made, initially patient may seek social support, which may later change to planned problem solving like following up regularly for chemotherapy. Coping strategies may have positive outcomes or negative outcomes on the illness. Patients who can cope well with a chronic and disabling illness have a fighting spirit, like themselves under all circumstances, believe that they are more than just a body, have a problem-solving attitude towards the challenges. The factors that may lead to poor coping abilities are previous psychiatric problems, lack of social support, low educational and economic status, and severity of disease at diagnosis. 3. Defense mechanisms. Defense mechanisms are automatic psychological processes by which the mind confronts a psychological threat, for example, the fear of death or disability, or conflict between a wish and the reality. Defense mechanisms are usually conceptualized as intrapsychic processes that are largely out of the individual's awareness. A basic understanding of the concept of defense and various defense mechanisms can provide the mental health professionals a clue to the patient's emotional or behavioral responses to medical illness. There is some overlap of the concept of coping with that of defenses, but the psychological concept of coping is more behavioral as it involves action. For example, seeking social support or productive problem solving, and is generally a conscious experience. Patients often employ many different defense mechanisms in different situations or under varying levels of stress. Hierarchy of defense mechanisms is proposed as psychotic, immature, neurotic and mature. The psychotic defenses are away from reality to extreme degree and are employed by psychotic patients. The immature defenses are characteristic of patients with personality disorders such as borderline personality disorder. Patients with immature defenses often transmit their shame, impulses and anxiety to those around them. Neurotic defenses may go unnoticed as they distort reality less, do not irritate others, are less interpersonal and often involve mental inhibitions. The use of mature defenses such as humor or altruism in the confrontation of a stressor such as medical illness helps in fighting against the illness and is appreciated well. Some of the defense mechanisms are discussed below. I. Denial. Denial of the illness by the patient is a common reason for seeking consultation by psychiatrist. Denial is construed when the patient rejects the diagnosis, minimizes symptoms of the illness, does not seem to appreciate its implications, avoids or delays medical treatment, and appears to have no emotional reaction to the diagnosis or illness. Denial is an adaptive response in certain situations. By denying the Consequences of the illness such as death. Hope is generated which improves the quality of life. Similarly, denial of certain emotional reactions to the illness such as fear or hopelessness may enable the patient to stay motivated throughout the course of illness. Through denial one may avoid the immediate stress and gradually accept the diagnosis. Some denial is perhaps necessary for very effective coping with an overwhelming illness. It is reported that denial is also useful during surgery, wound healing and patients awaiting heart transplantation. Denial is a maladaptive response in certain situations. It may prevent the patient from taking treatment and thus may endanger the patient's health. Denial may lead to adverse consequences like non-compliance after discharge, and therefore worsen medical outcome in end-stage renal disease and asthma patients. Denial of the medical outcome has both beneficial and adverse effects, as denial in cardiac units after myocardial infarction is reported to result in a better outcome. Sometimes, the patients judged to be in denial are relatively uninformed about the details of their illness or its prognosis. Therefore, it must be ensured that patients are fully informed about their illness and treatment before diagnosing them to be in denial. When denial is present, direct confrontation should be avoided. Gentle, empathic, and non-judgmental stance is more effective in decreasing the intensity of negative emotions such as anxiety, suppression. Under this mechanism, the patients put their fears about illness and treatment aside until a later time. The patients may choose to bring fears into consciousness at any point of time. These patients easily accept treatment and face their illnesses with courage. When suppression is active, denial is considered adaptive, repression. In repression, the patient is generally unaware of the internal experiences, fear, wish, and these thoughts or feelings are not easily accessible to consciousness. 5.4 Psychosocial adaptation to chronic illness. Before discussing the emotional and behavioral responses, let us discuss some important concepts of psychosocial adaptation. 5.4.1 Basic concepts of psychosocial adaptation. The basic concepts of psychosocial adaptation are given below. 1. Stress. Individuals with chronic illnesses face greater frequency and severity of stressful situations. Stress has a significant effect on blood flow to heart, and this may be of significance in patients with pre-existing heart disease. Increased stress is experienced when there is threat to one's life and well-being. Body integrity, independence and autonomy, fulfillment of familial, social and vocational roles, future goals and plans and economic stability. 2. Crisis. The sudden onset of life-threatening diagnosis, for example, cancer. And disabilities, for example, spinal cord injury, brain injury, amputation, is highly traumatic. These conditions constitute a psychosocial crisis and the life is affected by disturbed psychological, behavioral, and social equilibrium. The psychological consequences of crisis are long-lasting and may evolve into pathological conditions such as post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. 3. Loss and grief. The mourning process that occurs for the lost body part or function after the onset of a chronic illness resembles that of the loss of a loved one. The individual exhibits feelings of grief and bereavement. Chronicity of the illness serves as a constant reminder that the disease is permanent and therefore is a source of chronic sorrow. 4. Body image. Body image has been defined as the unconscious mental representation or schema of one's own body. It evolves gradually and reflects interaction between sensory, visual, auditory, kinesthetic, interpersonal, attitudinal, environmental, physical conditions, and temporal factors. Chronic illness is believed to alter or distort one's body image. Successful adaptation to chronic illness reflects the integration of physical and sensory changes into a transformed body image, whereas unsuccessful adaptation results in physical and psychiatric symptoms. 5. Self-concept. One's self-concept and self-identity are linked to body image and are often seen as conscious, social derivatives of it. Chronic illness is believed to alter or distort one's self-concept. The sense of self, that is, self-identity, may be denied in social interactions with others who respond to the person as disabled first, focusing on appearance rather than identity, thereby losing sense of the person's real self. 5.4.2 Emotional response to illness. An individual suffering from chronic illness may feel angry, sad, afraid, frustrated, confused, helpless, embarrassed, ashamed, or awed. An individual may show multiple emotional responses simultaneously or sequentially to illness and hospitalization. Understanding the personality, coping style and defense mechanisms adopted by an individual may help to appreciate her or his emotional response. These emotions may hamper cognitive functions and patient may become confused or unable to concentrate. States of fear and excitement especially. Acute anger reduce blood flow through already compromised arteries supplying heart and may lead to myocardial ischemia. Heart is very sensitive to acute emotional stress and this may be the cause for sudden death during those states. Empathic listening to a patient may be useful in revealing the predominant emotional response, which is a clue to the subjective meaning of illness for that patient. The emotional response may have multiple meanings and may change over the course of the illness. Predominant emotional response should not be the sole focus of attention. It may not be directed towards the illness but may be directed towards the physician. Understanding the reason for the elicited emotional response may help the physician in making the patient more acceptable to the treatment and the illness. Educating an individual about the illness can shift the patient's emotional and behavioral response and evoke relief and hope. Themes underlying effective responses. Emotion and Adaptation by Richard S. Lazarus, 1991. Anger, a demeaning offense against me and mine. Anxiety, facing uncertain, existential threat. Fright, an immediate, concrete and overwhelming danger. Guilt, having transgressed a moral imperative. Shame, failing to live up to an ego ideal. Sadness, having experienced an irrevocable loss. Envy, wanting what someone else has. Relief, a distressing goal incongruent condition that has changed for the better or gone away. Hope, fearing the worst but yearning for better. Happiness, making reasonable progress toward the realization of a goal. Fig 5.1, Some emotional responses to illness. Some of the emotional responses to illness are discussed below in detail. 1. Anger. It is a common and difficult emotional response, especially when it leads to maladaptive behavior like treatment refusal. Patients with mental disorder or personality disorder are at risk. Anger should be understood as natural response. Empathy rather than distancing self from the patient may help to deal with anger better. 2. Anxiety and fear. Anxiety is experienced by all in medical illness. Psychoeducation regarding the illness, empathy and reassurance to the patient-specific fears such as pain, death, isolation, disfigurement, dependence and disability can offer significant relief from anxiety. Psycho-education would be discussed in detail in another course. 3. Sadness, loss of physical function and inability to work as earlier times may result in sadness. An appropriate message and hope can be given by telling the positive outcomes in patients with similar illness. Psychiatrist may advise medications or psychotherapy in this situation. 4. Guilt. An individual may experience illness as a punishment for real or imagined sins. Guilt may arise for the behavior contributing to the illness, like risky sexual behavior, cigarette smoking. Guilt and attribution, mechanisms that is placing the cause in external world or internal self play a major role. Educating the patient and family and confronting the guilt will help the patient. 5. Shame. Narcissistic patients and patients attributing the cause of illness to their previous behavior, for example lung cancer after a long history of smoking, are at risk for this emotional response. It may lead to avoidance of treatment for the particular illness. 5.4.3 Behavioral response to illness. Patient's response to chronic illness varies from maladaptive to adaptive. Adaptive response helps the physician and the patient in dealing with the illness, whereas maladaptive interferes with the treatment. At times, an individual needs to adapt quickly when diagnosed with a chronic illness because quick treatment decisions are to be made by controlling the level of emotional distress. Patient responds on the basis of the illness type, coping ability, ego strength, meaning of the chronic illness at that stage, family and social support. Major concerns are fear of death, dependency, disfigurement, disability and abandonment, as well as disruptions in relationships, role functioning and financial status. Understanding of the above can help in modifying the patient's response from maladaptive to adaptive response. 1. Adaptive response. Some different types of adaptive response of patients of chronic illness are discussed below. I. Support seeking. Patients who have good social support network benefit from it during period of stress. Low socioeconomic status and low social support add to psychological risk. Patients can learn from others suffering from the same illness and can feel less alienated from others. E. Altruism. Chronic illness decreases the self-esteem, confidence and sense of productivity of the individual. Altruistic behavior is selflessness or self-sacrifice by an individual for the benefit or sake of others. Individual can show altruistic behavior by helping people suffering from illness by educating them about the illness, raising funds, participating in community programs for various illnesses. This helps in regaining mood due to sense of gratification by helping others. Physician and the psychiatrist should promote and encourage this behavior. Change in self regarding life priorities. Although chronic illness in no way can be beneficial to the patients, but it may help patients regain perspective on what is most important to them in life. An individual recently diagnosed with chronic illness may commit himself to take medicines regularly, bring changes in lifestyle, or rejoin religious activities. There is personal transformation for the better in the patient, and daily stresses do not seem that stressful. Becoming an expert in one's illness, learning as much as possible about the illness can be adaptive and can give the individual a greater sense of control, as they feel it is easy to have control over known fears rather than imagined ones. Patient's personality, coping style, and defense mechanisms will predict how increased knowledge about illness may help in reducing the distress. 2. Maladaptive responses. Some of the maladaptive responses of patients of chronic illness are given below. Non-adherence to medication. Up to 50% of patients fail to adhere to their prescribed medication regimens, and physicians are often not aware of the patient's lack of adherence. Identifying the context of non-adherence can help us find the reasons for non-adherence. It may be persistent or specific to particular therapy, or may be generalized. When underlying factors are identified, one can intervene to improve adherence. Psychological factors for non-adherence are 1. Non-adherence as a defense against humiliation and stigma. For example, the patient suffering from HIV may stop going to the clinic and stop the medication. 2. Non-adherence to counteract helplessness, such as wish to be healthy and regain control over self once again, may lead to refusal to treatment. 3. Anger towards the treating physician or towards the illness may be another psychological motivation for treatment non-adherence. 4. Mistrust and paranoia may play a role in non-adherence, and the physicians must earn their patients' trust through building rapport and honest communication. 5. Comorbid psychiatric disorders may also lead to treatment non-adherence. Depressed patients may stop treatment due to pessimistic views about illness and may become suicidal. In psychosis, the judgment of the patient is poor, leading to non-compliance with treatment. Other factors in non-adherence to treatment. 1. Cost of treatment. 2. Side effects. 3. Inconvenient dosing schedules. 4. Lack of information. 5. Difficulties with transportation. And 6. Different health beliefs than the physician. Interventions to increase treatment adherence are 1. Non-judgmental attitude and asking patients directly about their adherence. 2. Psychoeducation of the patient and the family regarding the illness and its treatment. 3. Find out any underlying psychological factors or psychiatric illness. 4. Find and address any treatment-related factors such as side effects and cost. 5. Develop rapport with the patient and maintain therapeutic alliance. 6. Use positive reinforcement as a motivator when possible. And 7. Involve family members in facilitating patient treatment adherence. Going against medical advice. There may be various reasons for signing out of medical advice, like anger or frustration toward the staff or caregivers. Some of the most common motivations for signing against the medical advice are anger at caregivers, overwhelming fear or anxiety, substance craving or withdrawal, desire and impatience with discharge, planning or feeling well enough to leave. Following interventions can be done to prevent the patient signing out of medical advice. A. Try to reduce the anger of the patient. B. Avoid direct confrontation. C. Diagnose and treat any comorbid psychiatric disorders. D. Involve social supports, if they are allied with the treatment plan. A. Adequately inform about the illness and its need for treatment. F. Assess the patient's capacity to sign out, and encourage them to return for treatment if they change their mind. Behavioral response to illness. Adaptive responses. I. Support seeking. E. Altruism. E. Epiphany regarding life priorities. IV. Becoming an expert in one's illness. Maladaptive responses. I. Non-adherence to medication. E. Going against medical advice. 5.5 Consequences of chronic illness. The major consequences of chronic illness are discussed below. 1. Stigma. Restrictions imposed by chronic illnesses lead to deviations from several societal norms, for example utilization of healthcare services, occupational stability, and are viewed negatively by society, resulting in stigma and discriminatory practices. These stigmatizing practices result in increased life stress, reduced self-esteem, withdrawal from treatment and rehabilitation settings. 2. Disability. There are many different kinds of disabilities: physical, Intellectual or mental health related. A disability may be visible or hidden, may be permanent or temporary, and may have a minimal or substantial impact on a person's abilities. Chronic illness diminishes the capacity of individuals to respond in satisfactory ways. It disrupts the balance between demands and expectations of a given situation and the capacities of an individual to respond to those demands. A person with disability may be unable to do certain things in the same way that most people in the society are able to do without any adaptation. 3. Social isolation. Long-term painful thoughts and emotions can lead to alienation, loss of friends, more symptoms, feeling alone, etc. 4. Family burden. Chronic illness affects not only the lives of those suffering from disease but also those of family members who care for them. Increased financial, physical and emotional responsibility falls upon family members who care for a person with chronic physical illness. In family-focused grief therapy, the patient and the family meet together to process the events and anticipate the upcoming loss. It continues for a few sessions after the patient's death, helping the family to consolidate the positive achievements made while the patient was still with them. Counselor can use individual therapy, family therapy, education, and problem-solving programs as interventions for caregivers of patients with chronic illness. 5. Impact on children and adolescents. Chronic conditions in childhood and adolescence can affect physical, cognitive, social and emotional spheres of development, with repercussions for siblings and parents as well. It has been reported that parenting a child with a disability is associated with higher levels of stress. A common consequence of chronic illness and its treatment is short stature and pubertal delay. Undernutrition is common in many chronic conditions, and obesity may result due to limited physical activity. Body image issues related to height, weight, pubertal stage and scarring contribute to decreased self-esteem and negative self-image that may persist into adult life. Children with chronic illness are at greater risk of social isolation and education disadvantage due to school absenteeism and lack of participation in recreational and sporting activities. The young people with chronic conditions are at much greater loss than adults in the long run. 5.6 Role of caregivers. In collaboration with the family, it is necessary to develop a plan for managing stress. This plan should comprise of commitment of all family members to work on the problems, inclusion of all past successful coping strategies and use of strategies that are flexible and reality-oriented. What families can do? Family members may 1. Provide emotional support and containment. 2. Share responsibility for decision-making regarding the treatment setting, options and meeting financial costs. 3. Maintain stability, that is the standard family functions, emotional nurturing, feeding, clothing, sheltering, educating, and socializing must continue. And 4. Adapt to change and help the patient to cope with the illness. Staff providing the services to the patients with chronic illness should understand the psychological response to an illness and behave in an empathic, non-judgmental and caring manner. Medical staff should be sensitive to the needs of the patient and look into the situations where family fails to take adequate care of the patient. 5.7 Summary. In this unit, we studied that mental illnesses commonly coexist with chronic physical illnesses. Chronic physical illness has profound psychological effect on the affected individuals and their families. Psychological response of an individual to the illness depends upon personality types such as dependent, obsessional, histrionic, paranoid, narcissistic, or schizoid. Coping styles and defense mechanisms. Interventions for the patients and their caregivers can be designed based on their behavioral and emotional responses to the chronic illness. Stress, crisis, loss and grief, body image and self-concepts are some basic concepts of psychosocial adaptation. It is necessary to have a good grasp of these aspects of the care of such patients and their families, not only in order to be of assistance in alleviating the emotional stresses which chronic illness places on them, but also so as to ensure maximal compliance with the treatment regimen of the illness. Anger, anxiety, fear, sadness, guilt and shame are some emotional responses to illness. Patients' response to chronic illness varies from support-seeking, altruism, change in self regarding life priorities and becoming expert of one's own illness, to making non-adaptive response like non-adherence to medication and going against medical advice. Chronic illness has long-term effects on the life of children and adolescents, leading to emotional and behavior problems. Therefore, the need to address the issues at the earliest. There is strong need for general practitioners and psychiatrists to understand the role of psychological factors in physical illness and the need to promote adaptive behavior for better care. Thank you for watching. We will see you in the next video with the next chapter.